Okay, let's take some questions now from the audience. If you have any questions for the guys, then put your hands up and we'll get a roving microphone. I think there's a lady here, right here in the front row. We'll get a roving microphone to you right now. There we go.
Hi, my name's Mary McKenzie. I've read all the books. I'm on book 9. I was absolutely madly in love with Uhtred.
And not anymore now that you've seen the show.
Well, you must have had an awful lot of criticism because you're not blonde, are you? Have you?
If it makes you feel better, I was blonde when I was about this tall.
Yeah, that makes me feel a whole lot better. The other thing I would ask, when will you name the sword? Because so far the sword's not been named, nor your dagger. Will you name that?
Well, it's very much in our minds on set anyway. I can't remember on which episode it gets named or if I actually voice it, but we're very aware of it while we're shooting. Everybody says, "Where's Serpent-Breath?" I don't, I've shot it a while ago, so I can't tell you right now when the name will actually be pronounced.
Okay. The other thing was, could you tell me?
If you remember in the first episode when Uhtred is still a little boy. When he stabs Ragnar in the leg.
He has a tiny dagger.
Yes, it's a small dagger, and young Ragnar. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Carry on.
He has a small dagger, and young Ragnar refers to it as a wasp's sting,
That's
and
right.
that's when the small one gets named. Yeah.
And I just wondered, will you be meeting Steeper in the next episodes, and will that duel be happening?
I don't know. Can I say that?
I'm not sure if you can. We've got a sneak peek, and maybe let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about. Well, thank you. Any other questions? There's lots of questions. Here's the gentleman here in the second row. We'll get the microphone to you, sir. There you go.
Hi everyone. I just want to say I really love the show. First of all, Uhtred's regular kind of hissy fits. How much fun have you had playing that? Because he's an immature guy, isn't he?
Those were the best moments. What's the end of your question? I didn't hear that.
How much have you enjoyed that?
Oh, yeah, that's the. I said that before. I think the most fun I've had is the fact that Uhtred can be a real. You said I can say swear words.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, he's a real arsehole, Uhtred, sometimes, and it gets worse. And
Alfred would agree with that.
Yeah, but so are you. I mean, Alfred.
Has anyone in public called you arseling to your face?
My girlfriend does, yeah. Very much.
Fair enough. Any other questions? Yes, please.
I think Ubba calls him Weasel shit.
Weasel shit.
And turd.
And turd.
Yeah.
Weasel shit and turd. We're all learning something today. Yes, please.
It's all very anal for Uhtred, isn't it?
I wanted to know, this is a very long... If this were a feature film, you'd be there all day. And I was just thinking, how did you hold the narrative together? Because it's plain that Nick Murphy had it all in his head. Did he set you
you're
up?
cutting out a little bit.
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Sorry.
please? Sorry.
Okay. How did you hold it all in your head? Did Nick Murphy sit you down at the beginning of the day and say, right, we're at episode so-and-so, we've got to develop what happened before? Or how did you do it?
Is this a question for me or
For all three, I guess, yeah.
It's a question for everybody.
I think all of that is in the preparation really, because you know you're always shooting 2 episodes at a time, and for each scene you have to determine where in the story the scene is going to happen. You have to know what happened just before, even if you've shot it weeks ago, or if you haven't shot it at all, and you have to know what comes after, so that you can make a clean segue from scene to scene in the finished product. So for me, it's in the preparation mainly.
I draw out a big map, a big long map of the narrative, so I know if on Tuesday we're doing the end of Ep 2, but on Wednesday we're doing the beginning of Ep 1, that type of thing.
Really? So if you walk into your dressing room, it looks like a madman's cave in a way.
It's very Alfred, actually.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Amazing.
It's what is you can see also the Nick worked very much together with his DOP Chess Bane. You can see how it's shot. you know. It's very contemporary. So Jazz, he could have his camera on his shoulders for 12 minutes. So actually, they will have scenes like the one you saw with the arrows. It will run and run, and doing this for the camera, this is not usual. It's not in the theater we do that all the time, but for the camera, you usually, you know, do one scene, then you do the next, this angle, but it would run the whole scene, and it was a long scene, and Jazz was going there with the camera, and what was really interesting that he said on the, I think it was the first day, he said, come on, you can do whatever you want, because the camera will be there with you, the camera will see you, and this is extraordinary for an actor to hear that on a film set.
Yeah,
the
it's
camera,
a real team effort.
you know?
Then you have Simon, who's the focus puller, and for those of you who don't know, you always need somebody who's going to keep the image in focus, and that's okay if you've rehearsed the scene before and he knows exactly at what point in the scene you're going to arrive at a certain spot. But the way we were shooting, he never knew what was going to happen next, and he always managed to keep us in focus, and that's quite an achievement, and that's just, you know, one little piece of the whole puzzle. There were so many people involved. It's real teamwork, you know.
What was the experience like for you as actors when you go from one director to another? So Nick directs the first 2 episodes and he sets up the tone of the world and he sets up the tone of the series. Then other directors come on, at which point you know your characters perhaps better than the new directors.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Everybody stays the same and works out a way of working together and starts knowing each other, and many things happen without even talking about them, because you know how you think, or how the other person thinks, and then suddenly the head of the whole operation is the one that gets changed, and everybody has to readapt. So it can be quite challenging at the beginning, but also in a good way, because you learn from each new director, and each new director brings something different to the series. So it keeps it fresh. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, you adapt to a new rhythm, and which is good, because you never get settled or feel safe. You're constantly having to adapt to a new leader's rhythm, how they work, and keeps us on our toes, I think.
And Rune, how was it?
Yeah, I like to work with the different people, obviously, but it's also because with my character, Ubba, I got a lot of freedom from Nick Murphy, the first director, and as you could see, he's very expressive, and a lot of scenes I would do something just there and then, you know. And as Alexander sometimes experienced, I would sort of hit him, or I would actually spit in his face. And not all directors like that. And they wanted to say, okay, Rune, we've seen enough of that now. Now you stand over there, the camera is there, and you say your line like that. And yeah, I'm used to doing that, so it's not a big problem for me. But then I sort of had developed my character in a certain way, and I sort of had to try to adopt that. But it worked fine. I worked with 3 different directors, and I think we all found our way of working together. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions from the floor? Yes, please. There's a gentleman here by the table, and then a lady behind him.
I'll just say a word as your audience, basically. And I've never been liked Game of Thrones. Too distant from me, too far away. But you, listening to you today, speak right to here, because I'm a Cumbrian, and I come from Northumbria, and I've lived that life that you talk about on the very land where the Danes landed, and that was round Otterburn. And just after the war, I was a lieutenant in the Cumbrian Yeomanry, and our rangers were in Otterburn. The colonel of the regiment owned a large castle just north of Carlisle where I was born. He fought in that battle that you're describing 2 centuries after the incidents. And he was still the colonel of the regiment, which I was a young officer in. And Otterburn was our rangers. And I watched sheep being blown to bits through my binoculars. So when you describe the horror, I'm afraid the guilt in me of what I was doing at that time, which as a very young man did not realize, speaks so deep down that I owe you a great deal. That's all I can say.
That's the biggest compliment that we can receive, really. Yeah, that's very moving. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a lady behind. Thank you. And then a lady right at the back.
Hello. Just wanted to say the show is great. It's really compelling. And I had a question for Alex. It was about Uhtred. As a viewer, I'm trying to work out whether Uhtred is kind of absolutely selfish character or whether he's driven by his sense of injustice. So I just wondered if you had any input on that.
Well, since I mean, one of the reasons why I am in love with the story and with the way that Stephen Butchett adapted it is that there's a real arc to every character, and every character becomes unfolds as we go along, and we learn more about him. And there's definitely more to Uhtred than the selfishness, and that'll become clearer in the next couple of episodes. Actually, 4 onwards. Yeah.
Thank you. There is a lady right at the back.
Okay, my name is Katrina Hai. I'm actually from South Africa, and we don't have a lot of digital like ADSL in South Africa, so to be able to watch the show here, living here now, is amazing. I just love it. It's one of the benefits of the UK. One of the things which I've recently realized is that there's a lot of digital marketing. I'm in marketing, I work for Vodafone. And I don't find your characters on Twitter, or even some, especially Alexander, your personal profile. How do the producers engage with their audience, such as the people here, to drive the personal characters more into the social media, which is a core platform of growth for any brand, personal character or TV series?
Well, the Last Kingdom has a Twitter account, and they are tweeting. I'm not on social media for personal reasons. But yeah, the Last Kingdom is on Twitter, and I think you are, aren't you? Are you not? No. I mean, some of the actors in the show are on Twitter. Emily Cox, for example, is on Twitter. Nick Murphy, the director of the first 2 episodes, is on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, please. There's a lady right here in the middle. Microphone's on its way.
Hi, Alex. First of all, you're just gorgeous. And I was wondering how many of the books you were going to cram into season 1.
2, the first 2 books.
Oh, cool. Brilliant.
Is that the idea going forward? 2 books per season?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I wish we could do 1 season per book, really, because there's so much in it. I mean, only the part of when Uhtred is still a child, I feel there's so much. There's so much more in the books, and you want to put it all in, and especially having Tom Taylor, who plays Uhtred as a kid. He's just such a brilliant actor. You know, he blew us all away. But it's just not possible, you know. And I think maybe going back to the very first question from you, was it Marion? Yeah. Sorry. Maori. Okay. Yeah, you know, there's always going to be disappointments. There's been debate about the shape of the shields, for example, that the Saxons didn't have the shields that they have in the series, and the reason why we did it that way is so you could tell the armies apart. You know, you always have to compromise, and it's disappointing for diehard fans. And it's sometimes frustrating for you as an actor when you want to, you know, when you really want to stick to little details that can mean a lot, and you know it's going to mean a lot to people, but it's just not possible. You know, it's a TV show.
So maybe something you've seen on page 78, something about Uhtred's character that you're clinging on to, doesn't quite fit the show.
Absolutely, and you have to let go of it, because on the other side of that, there's brilliant new stuff in the show that's not in the books either. And you get that in exchange. So I think it's always difficult to watch something when you've loved the books. I think you need to watch it as something new and be open to that in itself, in its own shape and form. You know?
How many have read the books here?
5 of you?
Oh, fantastic. All of them?
Those are all the guys that hate us.
We got time for a few last questions. Yes, please.
Hi, I was just wondering, in between takes, did you keep in character? How did you try method acting as a way of performing?
Excuse me, yeah, there's a small clip on Twitter where the Vikings actually play football. And we got a message on Twitter, is that a football or is it something else? Could it be a head? But it was not. Did you have another question, or I can try to answer? No, you know, it's. I was trying to say. I want to say that early on. It's very glamorous, and we're very pleased to be here tonight. Acting is very glamorous, coming to this part of the job. But actually, being out there.
I find this part the hardest.
I think this is very glamorous. I know we, you know. But anyway, the premiere, the opening, but. It's a lot of waiting around, you know, and when it's been raining for about 2 days, it's muddy, and you wait to come on, and the light is going, and the director shouts, you know, it's 5 minutes, you have to get on your horse. I mean, but you have to be ready, even though we're waiting for 13 hours. So staying in character, I don't know, I tend to just relax, really. My time is actually with the other person in front of the camera. I don't think so much about the character. When I'm with Uhtred, I'm with Alexander. That's my philosophy, and I try to be very much listening into the other person in front of me, instead of focusing on myself and my own motivations. So, yeah. So, actually, I wait for the moment, and I try to be ready when it's time to go in front of the camera.
Mm. And David, do you stay in character in between takes? Are you the king on set?
No, it's with the more emotional stuff that you'll come to later. I suppose it's better to go off by yourself and have some quiet time, but I know we socialised an awful lot together, and that really helped. I think we used to go for a lot of meals together, and that's a good bonding exercise, I suppose. Yeah.
And Alfred has a lot of speeches as well. He has a lot of heavy lifting in terms of his dialogue and some of the monologues, as we saw. How do you prepare for those?
Oh gosh, don't know. God, but don't know.
Do you practice them in the dressing room, or do you practice them in your trailer, or?
I've got that new, what is it, Line Learner app, that thing, I use that. Sit in the bath and put that on.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Line
Glass
Learner
of red wine. What?
I didn't know there was an app for learning lines.
Well, there we go. Again, we've learned something. We've got time for a couple of last questions. Let me see. At this point, no hands go up. We'll maybe come to, there's a gentleman right behind you there. Thank you.
Hello. David and Rune, my questions are for you, really. You've talked about how you've researched your characters, because you've both got real-life characters. How do you feel? Do you feel the pressure of portraying real-life characters, or do you try and make the characters your own?
I think if I went to this job thinking about it, I think I'd be terrified. So, no. I think I went to the books and tried to connect as much as I can with that man. But I love the fact that he's not the man we expect, the image to be, and that really hit home with me. That somebody quite frail had this enormous strength in many different ways. Yeah.
And I think it was a question over here. There's a gentleman over here. If we can get the microphone, and then we'll finish up where we started.
One of the things that's quite interesting for me is how different the Vikings and the Saxons are in their cultures and the way they think about things and the morals. So how much of their culture do you think still exists today? Are we more Saxon, or do we have any Viking left in us? What do you think about how we are today?
Who wants to begin with that one?
here today in Britain. Or I can just say a couple of words, because for me it was quite a challenge, because the Danes, and obviously we needed the villains as coming, and there's no question about it. The Danes came and tried to conquer what was going to be England. But for me it was also that the Vikings had another side to themselves that I think was like everyday life, and I think that was a challenge to try and sort of show that in the small, in the scenes we had. So
the advantage we had was that we had brilliant international casting, and all the Danes were actually Nordic actors, which brought a whole different energy to set than all the British actors, and I think that gave it a lot, because the British actors were usually with a lot of humor, but still contained in a certain way, whereas the Nordic actors, you would never know what was going to happen next. And you see Rune, I mean, they're all a little bit bonkers, and
I'm terrified. I don't know about you guys. It's all good. We're going to finish off with the right back where we began, with this lady here in the front row. Thank you. Yes, you put. There's a microphone. We'll just. Here he comes. 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 Here he comes.
I think it's to all of you, probably Alex. You know when Ragnar first appeared on the shores of Northumbria, was it health and safety that stopped them from dancing on the oars? You read the books, didn't you?
Yes, I read the books, and you have no idea how many things we were not allowed to do because of health and safety, and how frustrating that was on set.
I bet you wanted to do that.
However, I was not there for that scene, so I can't tell you.
Thank you.
But Rune was. You were there for the scene where they land on shore. You weren't allowed to dance on the oars.
No, but I did it, sort of when they were not looking. Sorry? Yeah, they used to do that. They did a lot of things, and I don't know if all of it is true, but... And they used to drink ale. I don't know if that was true either.
Sharpen their teeth. They used to rape. I don't think we had any rapes on set, did we?
No.
No dancing of oars, no rapes.
Mushrooms?
No.
I think the Vikings were into mushrooms.
Yes, we had mushrooms.
I think when they went berserk, the berserkers, I think they had mushrooms. I think they went into that.
Wow.
We couldn't do that. We didn't do method acting.
Yeah, health and safety would say no to that. And on that note, that's all the time we have, I'm afraid. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for your questions. Thank you, of course. Rune Temte, David Dawson, Alexander Dreymon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.